If you were in church last week, physically on or online, you may well have heard Peter's words of faith. Peter said, "You are the Messiah, the Son of the living God." But did you notice the next words in the story? It says, Jesus ordered his disciples not to tell anyone that he was the Messiah. Keeps happening like that. Jesus keeps stopping people telling anyone who he is. It's a thing. It even has a name. They call it the Messianic secret. I mean, who's doing Jesus's PR? Why on earth does Jesus keep his identity a secret? He's not Clark Kent and he's not Wonder Woman. I don't know the full answer, but part of the reason for this Messianic secret must be that the disciples don't know what the word Messiah means yet. It's not about victory and violence. It's about serving and suffering. Peter immediately gets it wrong by telling Jesus that messiahs should not suffer, which shows how wise Jesus was to tell his followers not to go public just yet. There's a rhythm here. It's like breathing in and breathing out. God doesn't write his name across the sky. God chooses to work through small, powerless minorities. He educates them in the way of service and weakness and justice and good suffering, and then gets them to open their arms wide and open their mouths to speak. God did it with Abraham and Sarah, and then he did it through Jesus's disciples. And God does it now too. This is, as far as we can tell, God's strategy to build up a small, creative minority in each place that will forgive each other and tell God's story and love people and act for justice. And then when the right time comes, and the right time is usually the same time that people start asking, why are you doing that? When the right time comes, they stop being secret and start being public. I'll bet you there's a group of people like that in your neighborhood or your town or your village. They may have gone a bit quiet for a bit because of coronavirus, but I bet you they've been active under the radar, running food banks and mutual aid schemes and praying energetically and holding councils to account. They've been learning all sorts of things during lockdown about prayer and civil society and being who they should be when nobody's watching. I could call them a secret society, but no, that sounds too sinister. It's not like they're hiding. I could call them a private organization, but actually they love it when other people check them out or come and be with them, either physically or online. And they're not a private club that exists for the sake of their members. They exist for the sake of everyone, the whole community. They're a creative minority called by God to act with others for the common good without glorifying themselves in the process. One by one, they're emerging from the online world to relaunch public services. Some are already up and running every week, though, with masks and lots of hand sanitizer and no singing, which probably feels a bit weird to them. But it's okay, because they don't gather as consumers to have their needs met. They gather as a creative minority to keep the story alive and love their neighborhood and act for justice. Some are only meeting online at the moment through YouTube or Facebook or Maybe they meet on Zoom, in which case it might take you a bit of research to find out who will invite you, but I bet you could join with them. You can do it with a landline phone, even if you don't have a computer. And many of these little communities are working out a rhythm of hybrid church, sometimes in a physical place, sometimes online. You could think of them as Robin Hood's band, wearing green tights and meeting under the radar in Sherwood Forest. There's always room for one more outlaw. No wonder they call them the merry men and women, because there is a joy in being the secret people of God, and a joy when the time is right and when we've learned to suffer right and serve right in being the public, unashamed people of God as well.